Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you feeling?
Feeling good, Matt. It's bye week, I guess. We get to sit here and relax a little bit while so many of these other playoff schools are shaking in their boots preparing for the playoff, and Georgia's got some nice rest. I know that didn't work out too well for them last year, but at least they have their quarterback this time.
Yeah, that's true. I think this year's going to feel a little bit different, I think, than last year's playoff as far as the teams that are getting the extra rest this year. But yeah, it is a weird feeling right now. And I think this feeling is kind of why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they need to change, like update or fix, whatever you want to call it, the college football calendar. But like this feeling is one of the biggest ones that it's like, oh yeah, there's playoff games this week. It almost feels like an afterthought, like with just so much happening since conference championships and National Signing Day, and now the coaching carousel is nuts, and the Heisman Trophy, and all this stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, we still need to decide the national champion. It's like, I don't know. It's such a weird vibe, really, this time of the season.
Yeah, they need to figure it out, man. I get why they make it congruent with the academic calendar, but at the same time, it does just lead to a bunch of stuff being crammed in, a bunch of important stuff being crammed in at the same time, where probably doesn't need to be that way. It probably could have a little bit of breathing room, especially signing day. I know that's the big one everyone wants rescheduled, but it's a chaotic time of year for sure. The month of December for college football is just nuts, and we're right in the middle of it right now.
We definitely are, sir. And luckily, Georgia is not one of those programs that's surrounded by chaos. Florida, DJ Lagway, I guess, is in the transfer portal, and they've had a few guys hit the portal, I think, today. Like Dylan Raiola in the portal. I think Sam Levitt, they said, was in the portal, but I heard the latest that he's going to stay at Arizona State.
Oh, he is?
I think so. You can check me on that. Yeah, if you want. Brennan Sorsby, another one I think is in the portal as well.
Yeah, he is. Cincinnati, yeah. Yeah, a lot of portal stuff going on. I think Levitt is staying in the portal from this quick Google search that I'm doing. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many schools right now off the top of my head that are going to be in the market for quarterbacks. I mean, you've got LSU. I guess Florida's in the market now because they need one. Miami is going to need a new quarterback. Texas Tech, I think, is their quarterback is graduating. Like, there's a ton of big time spots. Michigan, of course, we don't need to get into what's going on over there. Oklahoma, I think. I don't know what
is Underwood. Is he in the portal, or is it just known? He's definitely
he's got to be gone, man. I mean, with everything going on there, I don't know why you would stay there, because I think he just followed LSU on Instagram and took down his Michigan stuff from which is like the modern equivalent to saying you're in the portal before you're actually doing it. Social media feeds are big, but yeah, there's gonna be a lot of quarterback musical chairs this offseason for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and we won't even really get into that right now, because there's probably gonna be 50 names in the portal that haven't named by the time everyone listens to this show. But I appreciate everyone who's tuning in live, everyone who's watching our show. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. But the main topic I wanted to discuss with you tonight, sir, is I wanted to look back at some of our predictions. I know the season is not over, but Georgia, like I said, is in this weird place. The regular season, conference championship, all that is behind us. And we're obviously going to look towards the playoff as well. But so we did this newcomer draft. We picked who the top newcomers were going to be back in August. And let me put it up on the screen here, sir. And I think there's a definite winner here. Looking at the names here on our list. So you took Zachariah Branch first overall. I took Noah Thomas, and then I took Elo Medozi. You took Elijah Griffin, Josh McCray, Adrian Maddox, Juan Gaston, CJ Wiley, Isaiah Gibson, and Bo Walker. And I would say, looking at this right off the top, I would have to say that your team won right here with Elo Mendoza being definitely the biggest impact of any of the defensive players I picked. But yeah, Adrian Maddox basically a non-factor. Bo Walker, had the one game versus Charlotte, but basically a non-factor. Like number 5 running back for Georgia, I guess, this year? If you say Frazier, Bowens, McCray, who's next? Cash Jones, and Dwight Phillips. I guess he's like number 6. So Bo Walker, I would say. Juan Gaston, definitely my best pick here. Also, Noah Thomas, I thought was going to lead Georgia in receiving, but we'll get into our stat predictions as well. But Juan Gaston is definitely my best pick. You could argue my only good pick actually here, because Noah Thomas being my first pick was Georgia's 5th, 6th leading receiver right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll shout out to you. Zachariah Branch is definitely doing the heavy lifting there for you at first overall. So you did get lucky with that first overall pick. But Josh McCray probably didn't make the impact that either of us thought. But Elijah Griffin kind of had basically the 5-star defensive lineman maturation. You know what I mean? Kind of getting some snaps here and there. By the end of the year, it's like he's definitely in Georgia's rotation and he's making an impact. But yeah, CJ Wiley wasn't able to really do much for you. Isaiah Gibson, I'll give you half credit on Isaiah Gibson, because I think you were like, Georgia's going to need a true freshman to come in here and be some kind of impact player, rushing the passer. And it just turned out to be Zayden Walker and not Isaiah Gibson.
Yeah, it turned out to be a guy who wasn't even thought of as an edge rusher before the season. So I guess no one could have really predicted that. But yeah, that was kind of the spirit of the pick for sure. I picked CJ Wiley a pick before Juan Gaston, so I look insane even if I have the better team per se, because I definitely, I kind of thought, McCray definitely carved out a role for himself in this offense, and I think he's going to become even more important as the playoff rolls on, but probably wasn't the clear power back, second, third option in the backfield I thought he was going to be, although he has taken some major carries for this team. And then, yeah, like you said, Griffin, I guess, was the most hyped up freshman on the whole team before this year. And he really has come on lately, man. He's been an impact player lately. So I still feel good about that one. But my boy, CJ Wiley, the breakout, it didn't happen this year. But I really hope that if he stays at Georgia, it happens at some point, because I do still like his game, even if he wasn't on the field much this regular season.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I think Talon Taylor probably would have been my next pick if I hadn't picked Bo Walker. Because I was surprised you went CJ Wiley over Talon Taylor, but both of them probably had similar production. I guess Taylor was also getting on the field early. But he got hurt and missed 8 games or so, and I think he is back. Oh yeah, because he played in that Alabama game, and they dialed up that slant to him that would have been a touchdown, but it got deflected by the defensive line. But yeah, also the spirit of the Josh McCray pick is maybe not being 100% sold on Nate Frazier preseason, and someone else is going to have to step up. You assume it's the guy from it that's played and had an 800-yard season in FBS, but it turned out to be Chauncey Bowens that really was that second, that established RB2 for Georgia's Thunder and Lightning combo they got going.
Yeah, for sure. And you had you sniped Gaston, man. If we could do this draft over again, I bet. Zachariah Branch would be number 1, and then 2A, 2B would be between Gaston and Glover, who we didn't even have on here. So yeah, these guys just break out sometimes when you don't expect it.
And that is a good segue, sir, because I decided to rank just what all the newcomers were on this Georgia team now, looking at it through 13 games. And you do see a few guys that neither of us picked. And, this is subjective. You rank these guys exactly where you want. But, yeah, I think Branch was definitely the best one. I'd put Dontrell Glover a shade above Juan Gaston, mainly because Juan Gaston probably missed a couple games. But, those two as true freshmen on this offensive line, they've really been I don't know, the biggest difference maker on this entire team. Because I don't like to rely on true freshmen in general in terms of like what you're going to get, like when you're trying to look at the upcoming roster. You know, it's like you hear fans of lesser teams in Georgia that kind of like, oh, and we got this true freshman. It's like, yeah, but I mean, who knows that? Like, there's a lot of hype around true freshmen. But Georgia, that's kind of been one of the best things about Kirby Smart and Georgia teams. They've recruited so well that every true freshman they've had is just kind of like the cherry on top. Like, you didn't need Malachi Starks to be an impact player. But damn, the fact that you got that's pretty sick. And he just added to a great 2022 defense. But just guys like that. So the fact that Georgia's gotten the impact they got from Glover and Gaston this year has just been huge. But what else do you think about this list here?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable what those guys added to the offensive line as true freshmen, especially when you consider the fact that they're playing multiple positions along the offensive line, and the lineup kept changing over the first month or so of the year because of all the injuries they had. Like, Georgia had a veteran offensive line last year where the entire interior went on to be day 2 draft picks, and that line underperformed because of injuries. So the fact that, I'm not going to call it seamless because your line always struggles when there are injuries, but the fact that they had to navigate that many lineup changes the way they did with guys that were that young is pretty remarkable. And I mean, that whole offensive line staff just deserves all the credit in the world. But yeah, the rest of this list, I mean, Griffin in the top 5, I think is cool, because if you showed us that in like a month or so into the year, we would be like, well, that would really take him stepping up later in the year. And he's done that. He's been pretty awesome. I would have, me personally, my only difference with this list is I think I would put Zayden Walker in the top 5. I think I'd have him above McCray, Horton, and Thomas, just because Georgia was hurting so much on the edge, and their pass rush was struggling so much. I mean, we've heard all the numbers, the U.S. sacks in the SEC, all of that stuff, that taking a true freshman and deciding to essentially play him out of position. I mean, they looked at his physical profile, they looked at what they thought he could do, and they were like, we'll try him out on the edge. And Walker, I think he's got like 2 or 3 sacks this year, but it really, I mean, when they started experimenting with him off the edge around the time of that Texas game, that Mississippi State game, mid-November, that's really when the edge rush production started to pick up. I'm not going to say it's like an exact causation, but I think there's some correlation there for sure. Like, the pass rush for Georgia is not this dominating, world-beating unit right now, but it is pretty good. And honestly, I was saying the whole year that I didn't see a path to Georgia's to Georgia's pass rush being just developing into this great unit unless a guy just magically fell out of the sky. That's kind of the closest. Zayden Walker's emergence is the closest thing you can get to a guy falling out of the sky. I really think. And so he deserves as much credit for anybody as that unit's turnaround. So I would have him in the top 5. I love Zayden Walker.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's a little bit of a drop off. Noah Thomas, it's like him at 5 is like he's had his like 2 or 3 games where he's kind of made an impact. And then Josh Horton, he's been a solid rotation guy. I think is kind of a little overlooked, I think, in this Georgia defensive line. But yeah, Josh McCray, you could definitely convince me that Zayden Walker just since like the Texas game, I don't know, it hasn't been long, but yeah, it's like Georgia's defensive line, since they have been, and that's kind of what they always had too, right? Like under Kirby's like earlier teams that would have those stud freshmen that would come in on those pass rushing downs basically, and they would be the next wave. They would be starters a year or 2 from now. Like Zayden Walker has definitely been just a huge impact player in the last month of the season. So yeah, you could convince me he's been top 5 as far as impact newcomers, especially when he started to get good.
Yeah, and I don't mean to take anything away from Thomas or Horton either. I mean, McCray had game winner against Tennessee and also took a bunch of carries when Frazier and Bowens were dinged up against Tech. And like you said, Horton was
it Ole Miss, the first down at midfield versus Ole Miss? Yeah, that's like his contribution to the 4th and 1 or something.
Those are some of the biggest plays of the year. And then Horton also, like you said, has been a really solid guy. He's been able to really get some good interior pressure when he comes in. You know, he'll take a handful of pass rush snaps a game, and he does something with them. Like he's a solid player. And then Thomas too deserves a lot of credit because he was a complete non-factor earlier in the year, and that was one of the bigger surprises, I think, is that this guy who, you know, led A&M and everything came to Georgia and wasn't really producing at all. But when Colby Young went down, he was the most obvious guy to kind of fill those shoes at the X receiver spot, and his production really picked up. I mean, he has made some huge plays. Like he had that catch against Auburn that was kind of the precursor. Scored against Alabama last week in the SEC title game. Had that sick touchdown against Mississippi State. I believe he scored against Texas too. So he's had some huge plays in some big spots for this team as well. So deserves a lot of credit. But yeah, I mean, Rashawn Dinkins, I mean, starting in a pinch at star, one of the hardest positions in the SEC championship, that deserves a lot of credit. Elias Williams, I mean, has shown flashes of being a game breaker down the line with his size and his ability to make these contested catches. So, yeah, this turned out to be a really good. I guess we'll lump them together: recruits and transfers, just newcomer class, recruiting class. This ended up being a really good group for Georgia and really nice infusion of young talent to go along with a roster that is peaking at the right time.
I'm with you, man, and I'll agree to your edit here. I'm gonna update this. Saden Walker's number 5. He's number 5 on my list. All right. And now let's get to some of our stat predictions, sir. Let's start with the quarterback position here. So I got myself, as you can imagine, in green, and then Bo Underwood in that Honolulu blue. Which shout out to Rams Lions, great game yesterday. I'm sure that's when your fandom is torn when the Lions are playing Stafford, but Stafford, another excellent game.
We went crazy. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too torn because I was screaming at the TV for sure. But yeah, congratulations to the Rams on a crazy game. Stafford better win MVP, dude. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So those are our predictions for Gunnar Stockton. You had 25 touchdowns to 10 picks. I had 26-6. So I guess even though I don't feel like I was super high on Gunnar, I definitely predicted his stats to be pretty damn good. So, and obviously he's got hopefully a couple more games, at least one more game, but hopefully a couple more games if Georgia goes all the championship. But I think we both underestimated Gunnar's running ability. And I think that's one of the reasons I was so shell shocked by the Notre Dame game is because I was like, well, I thought Gunnar would be a runner. Like I thought that's how he put Faton Bauta in the game was to run the ball. Why aren't we running with him? But yeah, Gunnar Stockton, like the fact he didn't run that much against Notre Dame, maybe that's what Notre Dame was doing and they were taking it away from him or something. But yeah, I mean, Gunnar's design runs in this offense has been, I think one of the bigger impacts on the whole team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I was way off on that. I guess my thought process kind of was, I mean, I'm not even going to rationalize it because I was off by 75 carries and 300 yards. But I guess my thought process would have been is that he got rocked so often against Texas and Notre Dame last year when he was filling in for Carson Beck that I kind of thought the coaching staff was going to really try to rein that in with him and really want to protect him and keep him healthy and not let him take any hits. But I don't know why I thought that meant he wasn't going to carry the ball at all. I guess that was just me overcorrecting based off of some stuff because I did remember watching the Texas game in the second half and being like, he's going to get killed. He needs to start protecting himself more. But yeah, way off on that. Gunner's running ability has been, I mean, I was wrong in just thinking that he wasn't that much of a runner better than we've seen Bennett or even Beck be. Where those guys could scoot, but it wasn't. I mean, Bennett had his fair share of design runs, but it wasn't. Gunner's another level from that. I think. I mean, Gunner. Yeah. You can design power for Gunner. You can design runs where he's lowering the shoulder and whatnot because he's just a physical guy, and I think I saw that, and it was something that I was kind of afraid of. And the coaches saw that, and that's what they loved about it. I mean, you have that story where they weren't going to let him run in the Ole Miss game, and he was like, "No, let me run. My team needs to see me run." that kind of thing just shows you the kind of dude that he is and the competitor that he is. And I really underestimated that when I was trying to project his rushing totals because look at me.
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up, sir. This is the first time we've done this. But yeah, we both underestimated the completion percentage, like 70%, completing 70% of his passes. And we probably were factoring in, 13 or 14, 15 games potentially. So he can definitely reach the passing yards that surpass the passing yards. If he surpasses your passing yards, then I think it's a good chance Georgia wins the national championship.
I was going to say, yeah.
Because that's like 500, 600 more yards.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be bad. 150 yards a game for what, 3 more games? Something like that. That'd be low, but you get it.
Yeah, it'd be like 200. Yeah.
But yeah, so 200 yards a game, that'd be pretty solid. Georgia's running the ball well, so yeah, we weren't too far off, I would say, on our Gunnar Stockton predictions. Ryan Puglisi, 1 touchdown, 2 picks on the season. Probably overestimated how much he was going to get in because Georgia's had a tough season, man. A lot of games come down to the wire this year.
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely projecting either a injury to Stockton, God forbid, or just him getting more run in a blowout. But even when Georgia's blowing teams out, they don't throw it. Like they're not like one of these schools that has to go out there and score 70 and let the backup just go out there and rip it. So I don't know. I was just kind of being a little wishful there. I had him 50 for 63 touchdowns. I had him having a really good year. But yeah, I guess it's good we didn't see much of the backup. That can really only mean good things. And then one more thing about Gunnar is I had him throwing 10 picks because I just remembered that interception against Texas being burned into my brain. He turned it over either one. I think it was just once against Notre Dame. He had the fumble. But he did have 2 turnovers in his first 2 games that, the first pick was pretty bad and the fumble was not really on him, even though he maybe have held it too long, whatever. But I think that's been maybe the thing about Gunnar that I'm been most impressed about is he's been very good at protecting the ball. I know he has had kind of a rash of interceptions his last 3 games where he threw, I think, 3 games in a row. For the most part, he's done a really good job of protecting the ball, and that's been the most pleasantly surprising thing for me about him.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'd like to see like a stat breakdown. You mentioning Stetson earlier of like the design runs, because they definitely did call design runs for Stetson. Like that Auburn one comes to mind, and the Ohio State one was.
Yeah,
I think that was the first time all season they had called that, just like that sweep that was just like 2 guys just leading Stetson into the end zone. Like I would say Gunnar has to have at least 5 more a game than Stetson was getting.
Easily. Yeah. Stetson probably, was the Tennessee touchdown where he did the phone, was that a scramble or was that a run?
I think that was a scramble.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was a scramble.
Yeah, we've never really seen Georgia use a quarterback like this. I mean, who was the last quarterback that they were like designing runs for on a semi-regular basis? Was it like Shockley? Like, has that been
I don't even really feel like Shockley was used that way. He was really just like a pocket passer who would take off sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm sure there were some design runs. I think that one in the SEC championship versus LSU, where he's like, that was the one that was like the newspaper cover. I think that was actually a design run, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I can't remember any Georgia quarterback. I'm sure Quincy Carter. I'm sure they had design runs for him. Yeah, I'm sure Fran had some design, although he's like the OG scrambler. Like,
yeah,
Fran
he did like scrambling, so that's very true.
But maybe one of those guys. But yeah, Gunnar is definitely I'm not gonna say it's like Tim Tebow-esque, but it is like that sort of just design, playing 11 on 11 type stuff. Maybe more Haynes King-esque than Tim Tebow. If we want to use a different Georgia rival. But yeah, I would say we were our Gunnar predictions were pretty respectable. I would say this is where it starts to get a little different. Our other, and I didn't do all of them. We actually did predict like everyone. I didn't include everyone.
Everyone is crazy.
So yeah, we both predicted Frazier to be the leading rusher. I was a little more ambitious, and I guess Georgia plays 12, 13 games. Who knows? But Nate Frazier might get up there 1,100 yards. If I'm right about Nate Frazier's stats, then Georgia's definitely winning the national championship. He has 5 more touchdowns left in him. But you're pretty spot on. 959, 5.1 yards a carry. I was at 6.1, and he's basically split the difference at 5.4. Neither of us had Chauncey Bowens. I think we both predicted him to be like Georgia's maybe 5th, 6th leading rusher. He's got 516 and 6 touchdowns on the year. Josh McCray, that's where we were way off about,
Dude,
sir.
I was so off on Josh McCray. Yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't know. I was just really banking on him being like the second feature guy. I just really kind of fell in love with the idea of Georgia having a true thunder and lightning tandem where McCray's the power guy, Frazier is the quicker guy, but McCray was clearly relegated to a much more contained role within the offense as the short yardage guy, the goal line guy. They've used him at fullback a few times, and they've done it. I mean, like we've said earlier, he's had some of their biggest plays of the year, but nowhere. I mean, look, he doesn't even have a third of the usage that I was projecting him to have. Yeah. So I'll take the L there.
Hey, that's what happens, man. It's who knows what's gonna happen each season. I think me and my brother have been doing this for a couple years, and I don't think I even projected Brock Bowers to like have a catch as a true freshman, and the guy led us in receiving. So I was like, okay, maybe my intel was way off. But yeah, Josh McCray, I'm honestly looking at my predictions. I'm surprised I didn't flip that because I kind of did think Josh McCray is going to be the touchdown guy. I had Frazier for 11 and McCray with 8. I'm surprised I didn't flip that when I was making my predictions because I kind of thought, like you're saying, like McCray was going to be that big body, that power back, maybe a little more Kendall Milton-ish, to Nate Frazier being a better version of Dejon Edwards. But yeah, I mean, we didn't really see that. And Dwight Phillips, nothing really surprising about his production. I think it was just surprising, like those first couple of games where he was like one of Georgia's best backs, but he's kind of used sparingly. And I think we both kind of predicted that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was after that first game against Marshall, where he had like 2 touchdowns. He scored Georgia's first touchdown of the year. I was like, yes, we're here. Dwight Phillips breakout. But the breakout back in this group clearly ended up being Bowens. I mean, he'd probably have close to 700, 800 yards. Maybe not 800 might be a little most, but if he was healthy the whole year, he'd be pretty close to Frazier, I think. I mean, he's having
that's definitely when the split started.
Yeah. But overall, I think that we were correct in predicting that Georgia was going to bounce back running the ball this year. It might not have been the exact players that we thought it would be that were actually getting that bulk of the carries, but it's really good to see that Georgia spent this whole offseason talking about how they were going to reemphasize running the ball and winning games that way, and they really stuck to their guns on that.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's one of the more surprising things about this team, and we're going to get into our superlatives and stuff later because it's just like there wasn't really tangible evidence that Georgia was going to run the ball better. It's like, oh, so they lost 3 starters that are like NFL starters on their offensive line, and their running back, who was one of their better offensive players, and this team's going to run the ball better. Yeah, it didn't really make sense, but I felt like I knew they couldn't run the ball worse. It's like, this is Georgia. They're not going to be 15th in the SEC in running the ball. Like they're going to be better. And I didn't know how, but you definitely found, a guy like Chauncey Bowens is a huge reason for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been huge this year. I mean, clearly we were both not high on him at all before the year. We kind of thought he'd be a tertiary guy in the backfield, and there were points this year where he looked like Georgia's best running back, and they really are going to need to get him healthy for the college football playoff, because when they have him and Frazier on the field and you've got to prepare for both of them and account for both of them, Georgia's running offense it's really tough to stop.
It definitely is. And I don't think either of us predicted much in the pass game for any of our running backs. We definitely predicted more for Frazier than he did this season. Yeah. I would say I basically was predicting Frazier to be like first team, second team, all SEC, 1,100 yards, 300 receiving. 13 total touchdowns. So solid year for him, but not necessarily second team all SEC.
I don't know, man. He might get all SEC. Like who's that? It's like Lacey from Ole Miss. Who's leading SEC now?
Dude from Missouri. Why am I blanking on his name? Ahmad Hardy.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say Jalen Ball.
I guess Ball. There are a few 1,000-yard rushers on here. Frazier's
in
the conference in rushing, but yeah,
he's definitely been solid.
He's really good, and that's the important part.
Yeah, it's been a few years since Georgia's had a 1,000-yard rusher. I think the whole 1,000-yard receiver is talked about a lot, but I think was DeAndre Swift, I think, the last 1,000-yard rusher. I think if my memory serves me right, a lot of 700, 800, 900-yard seasons. I want to say Edwards and like McIntosh had like 1,500 like total yards or something, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Edwards and Milton, where I think we're both at like 9 something, 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's keep it moving here. Receiving yards, sir. I would say I definitely underestimated Zachariah Branch. I thought, as you can see, I thought Noah Thomas was going to come in and be Georgia's leading receiver this year. You were more bullish about Zachariah Branch, and he's got more catches than even you predicted. And I mean, I kind of thought he was going to be a gadget guy. And so I was thinking like 7 touchdowns and 2 rushing, like he's going to be an impact player. He wasn't going to be like the go-to guy. This man is the go-to guy in Georgia's offense, basically. And so I definitely underestimated him coming into this year. Overestimate how much we use him in the run game. I guess we're just like the screens are the run game.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's been crazy. I mean, you see, I had him as having more yards per catch. I thought that he was going to, have a more diverse route tree than he's had for Georgia, but he has been so heavily used in that screen game that, I mean, I don't have the numbers on how many of those catches are screen passes, but I'd be willing to bet it's a sizable chunk. So you could put a lot of those in the rushing category if you really wanted to be, exact about it. But yeah, I thought that he was going to be a little bit more of a deep threat for Georgia this year than he's been, but I did expect him to be the focal point of the offense, and he has been. So I overshot it by about 200 yards, but who knows? He could still wind up hitting that kind of total because he's just a really good player, and I'd like to see his route tree diversified a little bit more. I'd like to see them, get him on like a deep post or something because he has the speed for that, but he's been so good in the short game, and he's been such a security blanket for this offense. And he's the type of guy where people say this about a lot of players, but like really, Zachariah Branch is like, you get him the ball one time, like he might score. He might just crib it whenever. So he's an electric talent, and he's been huge for this team.
For sure. And when you think about the fact that he is using the screen game so much, it's like you kind of obviously people talk about it's an extension of the run game. It's like, okay, well, if it's part of the run game, this guy's averaging like 10 yards a carry, essentially, it's like, well, as a running back, that's the best in the country. So obviously he's not only used in the screen game, but to an extent that kind of like, I don't know, does him more justice in that way, like of how impactful he's been. And obviously we've talked ad nauseum of how much he opens things up for the rest of the offense. But Dylan Bell, I think we were both pretty on point with Dylan Bell's production this year. I don't think we thought this would be the second leading receiver in Georgia's offense, doing what he's doing. We probably were predicting Dylan Bell to do this and be like the 4th or 5th guy. But he's been really solid this year, and his production in the run game, I think, is also always good for Georgia's offense.
Yeah, and he's also was another guy that had to step up after the injury to Colby Young, and he's caught some huge plays. I mean, that 36-yarder that he had at the end of the Ole Miss game, I mean, that's probably top 5 biggest plays of the year for this Georgia team. I mean, that sealed the game basically. Dylan Bell is obviously best suited as like a 3 or 4 receiver, and a guy that you mix him in every now and then. He's really good after the catch. He makes plays that way, and yeah, it's been a good year for Dylan Bell. Last year he had to be like the number one last year at a certain point, and that really wasn't, I think, how he's ever supposed to be used. But this year, when he's able to kind of take a bit more of a backseat, like he can be a very useful player, and he certainly was this year. Has been.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm really upset about Colby Young because if you look at my Colby Young prediction, sir, for one, the yards per catch, 14.7 to 14.6.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like you obviously our predictions were pretty similar on Colby Young. I think he was right on track to do exactly what both of us were expecting, and maybe even more. Like obviously only had the one touchdown to that point, but what was Ole Miss, like the 6th game of the year? Like it's been out since then. So just a bummer. I think that was the 7th. Maybe that was the 7th game because I think it says he played in 7 games this year. So played in actually 6 basically because what that flea flicker was first play of the game, first offensive play of the game.
First play of the game, yeah.
But yeah, so bummer for Colby Young. I think he definitely would have been Georgia's number 2 receiver this year, and then just how wrong both of us were on Noah Thomas. I don't want to just feel like we're shitting on Noah Thomas here. But we were just wrong. That doesn't mean he's bad. It just we were wrong about the impact he was going to make on this 2025 team.
Yeah, we definitely were. And it's good that he kind of rounded into form late in the year and wound up making some big plays. But yeah, his lack of playing time early in the year was one of the bigger storylines of the season. I feel like there were a lot of Georgia fans that were like, "Where is Noah Thomas?" That was a guy that I think a lot of people were really looking forward to seeing, and he deserves props for stepping up after the Young injury because, man, I mean that they're still feeling the ramifications of Colby Young's injury because there's nobody else with that skill set on the team. I mean, Thomas has kind of a similar physical profile, but he's not as good as at the catch point as Colby.
Yeah.
He's not as good as Parker. Like Young is the best outside receiver on the team, period. And it stinks that he got hurt, man. It really does.
Yeah, I feel like he was on his way to a Javon Wims, a Lawrence Cager type of season,
Better than both of those guys.
He definitely is. Yeah. And I mean, just the fact that he's still the second leading receiver on Georgia's team, like he played in 7 games. Like we played 13 at this point. Like we do spread it around, but it just kind of shows that how big of an impact he had on this team. I mean, at 336 through 7 games, I mean, that was probably similar to what Zachariah Branch had at that point in the season. So it's like he was just as good. And I feel like he had taken a step from last year too. Like he looked even better than he did a year ago. So 2 years in a row now, Colby Young, one of Georgia's better receivers, they only get for about half the season.
Yeah, that's honestly going to go down as one of the bigger what ifs because in recent Georgia history, because last year you obviously had the whole legal situation, and at least this year they've got good players that can step up without him. Branch is just a game changer. Thomas has played well. Bell doesn't have to be like the number 1 X receiver anymore, and he's a good player when you can just have him at the Z. And then this year too, man. I mean, he was even better this year. He was on his way to a really special year. I saw Smart didn't really rule it out, the possibility of him coming back for like a deep playoff run, but I'm not going to get my hopes up about that because that would be a crazy recovery. So for now, operating under the assumption that Colby Young's Georgia career is over, I mean, it's really unfortunate. It's really tough. And I hope he gets a shot in the NFL because he definitely looked like an NFL player to me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I have heard some rumors about if he'll be able to come back. What was that? Was like a fibula injury or something?
Like broke his fibula or something.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not gonna get my hopes up like you said. Who knows? If Georgia's playing in January, what is that? 3 months almost since, I guess national championship would be 3 months since the injury. So I don't know what the usual recovery is on that, but yeah, like you said, if Georgia gets a snap, I'm gonna approach it basically how I approached George Pickens. Like obviously Pickens did come back and contribute to very into that season, but it was like anything he gives to this point is a bonus. Like I wouldn't rely on it happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, but it would be sick.
The rest of the group here, sir. London Humphreys, we both did not predict for a touchdown.
Yeah,
So
touchdowns. Dang.
He's got 3 touchdowns. And we both had him under 200 yards. So I mean, that's probably what 8th receiver. So we were underestimating London Humphreys. Maybe not that low. But Oscar Delp probably underperformed what we predicted. Not that he's underperformed, but you know what I mean. A little bit less production, although I guess we're right on point as far as yards go.
3 yards off.
That's true, and I mean, as far as catches and yards, you could end up being like, on point. Hopefully, he gets closer to what our predictions are with touchdowns. Just 1 touchdown so far this season, and then Lawson Lucky probably. I guess we both predicted more production from the tight ends. Only 138 yards in the season, but 4 touchdowns. So. We had pretty similar predictions for Delp and Lucky.
Yeah, I was expecting more touchdown production from Delp just because he had that stretch last year where I think he caught like 4 touchdowns in Georgia's last 2 or 3 games of the regular season, and I was just remember thinking like, wow, this guy as a like a chip and release weapon in the red zone, he can really do some damage there. And I guess Lucky in the Ole Miss game is kind of the best example of Georgia using a guy like that, where you chip the guy and you kind of squiggle out there. So Delp, yeah, I was predicting a little bit to be more of a red zone weapon than he was, but he's just such a valuable guy on the field because even though he doesn't get the ball a lot, that he's just one of those rare athletes where like he can block his ass off. I mean, he like. You don't want him blocking an edge rusher, but he could survive out there if he really needed to. And then when he catches a ball, like he can hit that gear. Like Oscar Delp is so fast, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I do. That's like one of my few complaints on the season with Mike Bobo is I do feel like Oscar Delp needs to get the ball more. Like he is too dynamic of an athlete to only be used as a blocker.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think he's obviously, I'm not going to invoke the name of 19 here, but he really does have that same, like not the same level, but he has a similar level of like, for that size, he can get to that, he can hit that burst. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I hope, man, I hope we get some big Oscar Delp plays in the playoff because I'm with you. I think he's one of the bigger untapped guys on this team.
I'm with you there. And then Cash Jones, the final one. I feel like we're both pretty close to what Cash Jones. I guess we both just overestimate how much he'd be used in the run game. He's basically done nothing. 11 carries for 4 yards on the ground. But yeah, 150 yards.
I had him getting 12. Dang, 11 carries for 4 yards.
And there's some games left. He might be able to catch it.
Yeah, I overestimated his receiving totals by half of that. But Cash Jones is the best thing about Cash Jones is how good he is in pass protection, man. He kicks ass there, and he's made himself a valuable guy and a guy that you really want to have on the field in like 2nd and 3rd and longs just because of that. So based on that, I probably over projected his actual like receiving production just because I was like, he's going to be on the field for so many receiving downs. Like he's going to get a lot of checkdowns, but you can only get so many checkdowns to have a 300-yard, 30-catch season. So that's my bad. But Josh Jones, good player. I'm really glad that he had the onside kick recovery against Texas to have like his like a big shining moment from the regular season because it would suck if the only thing we remember him from this season is the infamous Alabama 4th and 1. So shout out to Cash Jones, man. I mean, we don't have any more. The current walk-ons that are on this team are the last walk-ons ever to be on it. And so Cash Jones is going to go down as a legend for that because he's one of the last true walk-ons in Georgia history who became an impact player.
Yeah, and if you just that's a good call. And if you think about that Alabama game too, it's like you look at his stats. It's like, well, that's basically his average. It was 4th and 1. And actually, no, he lost yards, didn't he, on that play?
He did. Dude,
he's averaging a half a yard a carry.
Yeah, there are not a lot of guys that would have. I mean, I know that it's Cash Jones, and that's the whole reason you're mad about it. But I'm not so sure if there are many running backs on Georgia's roster who would have made LT Overton miss there, because he really did make an unbelievable play to bring him down the backfield.
Yeah, guy made a play. Like, that's also the lack of carries. Like, usually it's a run play, or usually it's a pass play when Cash Jones is in. So you're going fast for one, you're going for the element of surprise. Like, didn't work out. Alabama made a play. We won the SEC championship. We're good now.
Yep.
But that, I got a few more superlatives here. So that's a good segue. Best moment is one of my superlatives here. So what's the best moment you think of the season, just right off the top of your head? Like, is it the Cash Jones, the onside kick? Obviously we'll talk about the other play that I've had a nickname for, but can we call this cash back?
Yeah, I like that. Cash
you
back.
Like that? Okay. Yeah, but yeah, good. That onside kick versus Texas, I think, was just one of the, that was one of the moments of the season. Just so out of nowhere. It was incredible.
Yeah, man, if we're picking one play, I really do think it's between that and the other play that I know what you're going to bring up. I'm trying to think of, other standout plays. You have the Cole Spear blocked field goal against Alabama in the SEC championship. You have the Chauncey Bowens touchdown to seal it against Florida. I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough for the moment that it was.
That's a good call.
And then, like, the Ole Miss game was just such a crazy performance. It's hard, and so many fireworks went off in that game. It's hard to really single out one play, but if I had to, it would be the Dylan Bell 36-yarder. So
yeah,
I think for that moment and for it being a night game in Sanford and the momentum swing that it ended up being, and then the point in the season that it ended up kind of marking, I am going to go with the Cash Jones onside kick recovery, especially when, it's got the total package, right? It's like this huge game, top 10 matchup, a play that nobody expected to happen. That was the biggest, like, wait, what moment ever watching this team. And it's a guy who had that highly scrutinized play earlier in the year where, you lose to Bama and it's this horrible play and it gets lit up and talked about in the media for weeks. So all of that and just the ultimate boost of adrenaline that I feel like that gave every fan in the stadium, like, oh my God, we just did that and it worked. I'm gonna give it to that play. I think that's probably one of the two plays I'll remember most.
There's also something about that play that's like, Georgia's kind of been an elite team since that play. Like, it almost flipped the switch. That fourth quarter, they just started to dominate. Now they've dominated Alabama. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's almost like a vibe shift. Like we're not surviving this season. Like, we're thriving now. Like, this team looks dominant. Those the three you named were the first three that came to my head, were the onside kick, the blocked punt, the Chauncey Bowens run's a good call. But yeah, I don't think you can put a moment in this season ahead of the hump nail boot.
Yeah.
The Gunner Stockton to London Humphrey on fourth down against Tennessee and Knoxville. Like, it's crazy too to think that, like, that could have just been wiped out completely if they just make like a 40-yard field goal, like, to win that. But yeah, that was just to win in Knoxville, like, win a shootout the way they did, like, not really know what this team was yet either. And to go into Knoxville that early in a season and get a win like that is just, I don't know. I don't think any moment can compare to that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely a good call, and that probably is the number one play. And also, we overlook it, but they had to get the 2-point conversion after that. He had to hit Zachariah Branch to tie the game. So it could have been wiped out by Tennessee making a field goal, or it could have been wiped out by them not picking up the 2-point conversion. So that's why, like, it's like, and it wasn't the game winning score. It wasn't the go ahead score. A lot of stuff still had to happen after that. But in terms of, this is it, make or break right here, fourth down, gotta have it. And it's a quarterback who, up to that point, had not really, he had his SEC championship game where he came out, led a scoring drive on the first opportunity, but then they lost in the playoff, and Stockton had a weird looking first two games against Marshall and Austin Peay. So he was getting questioned a lot. by me, by you, by everybody, really, who was talking about Georgia. We were wondering. We hadn't seen it yet. Is like, does Gunner have it? You know, can they, when the chips are all down on the table, can they trust Gunner Stockton? And that play was the most resounding yes they could have gotten. So absolutely,
Hey,
I think that's there.
we're here to show the receipts, sir. And I know for a fact, after one of those first two games, I mentioned Brock Vandegrift and Gunnar Stockton in the same sentence. Like I don't know. So I'll admit to how much I still question Gunnar Stockton earlier in the season, and he's come a long way. And I was also very, very wrong. But yeah, so that's definitely the best moment for me. But that's a great call in the 2-point conversion too, because Mike Bobo's run the same 2-point play, I feel like, for years, and they called something different that time. And it was like, okay, it's like it didn't just roll out to the right and everyone go right.
Oh my God.
So shout out to the 2-point conversion as well. A lot of great moments in that Tennessee game.
Yeah.
Which probably brings us to the next one is the best game of the season. Is it the Tennessee in Knoxville?
Well, it depends on what you mean by best game, because best game from like a neutral fan, like I'm just gonna sit down
from a neutral fan.
2 hours. Most entertaining game. Yeah, I think it would either be the Tennessee game or the Ole Miss game. And the Tennessee game just had a hint more craziness to it. There was more drama to it. You know, Ole Miss, Georgia, once Georgia took control of that game and they went up by 8, like Ole Miss couldn't do anything. I mean, I don't think they picked up a first down in the fourth quarter. Or if they did, it was probably only a couple. The Tennessee game was back and forth the whole way. There were multiple moments where that game could have been won or lost. A lot of stuff had to go Georgia's way for them to win that game, and it was a wild one, man. It really was, and it's gonna be looked back as like the moment where I guess Stockton, grew up or whatever, and the moment that a lot of people knew that Gunnar Stockton was a dude, and so for that also, yeah, I think it's got to be the answer.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the two moments, because those are the top two games I put on there as well. Like, especially if you like offense, because obviously those are two shootouts. Like the Ole Miss game, neither team punted in the first. I mean, not either team punted. Neither team was stopped in the first 3 quarters of the game. Like Georgia scored every single time they got it. Ole Miss scored a touchdown the first 5 times they got it. But I think you're right. I think it was like 3 and outs in the fourth quarter. I don't think they got a first down, if I remember correctly. But I think both of those games are the games that kind of showed like, oh, Gunnar Stockton, like they needed every bit of 4 or 5 touchdowns against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was an insane performance. But I think what you were alluding to is this next superlative here is the game you will rewatch the most from the 2025 season.
Yeah, the SEC championship. Like it's not even close. Like I've already rewatched it. Like I've rewatched the full game. Well, not a full game. I watched like a condensed version of the game, like an hour with all the commercials and stuff taken out. So like it was every play. I watched that. I watched the YouTube video highlights numerous times. As a Georgia,
you watched the cinematic replay that Georgia did.
Yeah, and like I mean, as a Georgia graduate, like it is just it was the most cathartic blowout I've ever seen. I mean, that was years worth of the Alabama demons being exhumed or whatever, exercise. Like the Georgia Alabama rivalry is never going to feel the same way again. There's never going to be that black cloud boogeyman type of feeling again, because Georgia manhandled them. I mean, the national championship where they beat Alabama was at least a back and forth game, and it was close until the final minutes, and it was a good game. But this game was just a complete domination of the team that has had Georgia's number for as long as I can remember personally. So that's definitely the sweetest win of the year for me, and I was there in the building too. So whenever I watch the broadcast, I just get to reinsert myself back into it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. And in terms of we were talking best moment, it's like obviously the damn confetti coming down in Mercedes-Benz Stadium is definitely the best moment of the season. Because yeah, nothing beats the SEC championship game. Like also in terms of like rewatchability, it's like the Ole Miss game, it's like you watch like the Rose Bowl from Oklahoma. You're just like from years ago. You're just like, wow, Oklahoma was just doing whatever the hell they wanted to for like 2 quarters. Like this isn't really fun at all to watch. Like that's the Ole Miss. Yeah, it's entertaining. We're getting scored on every time.
Yeah.
Like Alabama, the fact that the offense is performing and then the defense is making the exciting plays, the block punt. Although it's interesting that Georgia really didn't drive the ball down the field one time on Alabama. Like every single time it was. I mean, they drove like 50 yards, but it was every single time was a short field coming off of a turnover or a turnover on downs or the punt return by Zachariah Branch. Like, man, that turnover on downs, like that's still one of the craziest calls ever to me. Like, there's like 8 or 9 minutes left. Like, it's just wild. But yeah, the Alabama game, nothing really touches that. I don't know if I'm going as bold as you to say the rivalry has changed forever. I think they have to get a winning streak to really change it. But yeah, I mean, just blowing them out the way they did, like that, like you said, the national championship, you won by 2 touchdowns, but it was a pick six. Like they were down a touchdown with a minute left in the game, until the Gringo play happened. But yeah, I think the only other candidate for like what we're talking about, I would say, is the Texas game, because the Texas game was just so fun, like, and just scoring 35-10 domination, like defense making plays, offense making plays, just ones I have already rewatched several times, and I'm sure I'll watch again. But games you'll never rewatch from this season, sir. What is that game or game?
I mean, the easy thing to do would be to point to the one game Georgia lost this year against Alabama, but I can't say that because I have rewatched that game. So if I said that, I would be lying. So I'll go with this is gonna be so mean, but I'll go with the Kentucky game, just because Georgia Kentucky games are just so boring every year. Every single year when it's time for Georgia to play Kentucky, and I've got to talk about the game, write about it. I do the best job I can. I really do. I try my hardest, but on the inside, I feel nothing ever.
Yeah,
such a soulless series, dude. So I got to go with that game.
That's fair. I was thinking more of how ugly of a game it was. So I'm going Auburn for that reason. Auburn was just a whole lot of nothing. And then, I mean, talk about the best moments. I don't know if it's the best moment, but like the craziest moment from the entire season was that halftime versus Auburn, like where one of the teams should have had a touchdown. Like, I've never seen a review where the outcome was either a touchdown for one team or a touchdown for the other team, and the refs decided, you know what, no one gets a touchdown. But yeah, the Auburn game, I do wish. Oh no, that's the one. Gunnar did actually dive in, and we got the great satisfying moment when Gunnar put the exclamation point. I know Kirby's like, no, you gotta need that at the end. No, you score the touchdown. I wish Georgia would have scored the touchdown at the end of the Florida game as well. Just put that exclamation point on it. But yeah, that Auburn game was brutal, man. I think I rewatch every game like one time. So just in all honesty, but the Auburn one is like, as soon as I need space on the DVR to date myself here, I'll delete the Auburn game. I'm sure I already did.
That was a brutal one, but at least it had like wild stuff happen in it, and it was a big win in a rivalry game.
Yeah, for sure.
Or the Auburn games always mean something.
That's fair. Yeah, Kentucky, I'm not rewatching the Kentucky games. That's fair. Factually, you are correct. Let's see here. I got a couple more left. Most improved player from this season.
Okay, most improved player. This is one I've gone back and forth through a couple of guys this year, and I tried to like keep positional value out of it. Like, I didn't want to just say, you could say Stockton and that would be totally justified, but I try to think of something other than him. You could go with Frazier here for the midseason growth he had after being benched against Alabama and coming back, but I think to continue with how much I've been impressed with the pass rush coming around, I'm actually going to go with Gabe Harris. Just because I feel like, he was doing a pretty good job as a run defender earlier in the year, setting the edge and stuff like that. But as a pass rusher, it just wasn't really there. And after Damon Wilson transferred, he was looked at as the one guy on the roster that's like, okay, this guy has got to be the guy. And he's got to have the best year of his career for Georgia to have a competent pass rush. And he really wasn't standing out much in the early part of the season. But I feel like over the course of the year, a switch just kind of flipped. And, his bull rush has looked a lot better. He's gotten more sack production. He's gotten more pressure. He just looks like a different player and a lot better of a player. So I think that his turnaround has been, I was talking up Zayden Walker earlier, and Zayden Walker is definitely a big part of it too. But I think if there's one player who I think they really needed to take strides and improve for that pass rush to start to tread water again, it was going to have to be him, and it was. And so I just want to give him his flowers for that.
I think in the best sense of what most improved means, I think Gabe Harris is definitely the answer, because he's like the most established player that I feel like is actually taking his game to the next level. Because I feel like my next couple candidates are guys that haven't really gotten on the field, and now they've become really good players. I would say Ellis Robinson. And Quintavious Johnson, just because these are both redshirt freshmen, so we didn't really see them a year ago. But you got to think with some of Georgia's struggles at the corner spot a year ago, the fact that we're not seeing Ellis Robinson, we're seeing Daniel Harris, and we're seeing who's the other guy? Julian Humphrey. We're seeing those guys, and we're not seeing Ellis Robinson. It's like, okay, maybe he's not the elite 5-star he was supposed to be, and then you saw earlier this season, getting burned a couple times. But yeah, since the Alabama game was after the Tennessee game, right? Yeah. Since the Alabama game, this guy's been, one of the best corners in all of college football. So that's just taking Georgia's defense to the next level. And then Quintavious Johnson, same. Basically, you could say the same thing. There's a reason he's been playing the most snaps at that edge spot all season for Georgia, and he's been wreaking havoc in the last month or so.
Yeah, Robinson is probably the objectively, this as objective as you can get. That's probably the correct answer, because he had a pretty tough game against Tennessee, to say the least. He allowed some pretty big shots, and then for him to come back the way that he has, and literally, I think Ellis Robinson is the best cornerback in the country right now. I don't think anyone's playing better than him. So that's probably the number one guy, I'd say, because he also has probably transformed the overall, as much as an individual guy can transform a defense, especially a secondary player, he's transformed the defense with his play just about as much as you can as a boundary corner. He has been money. And yeah, Johnson too. Johnson has also taken strides as a pass rusher, and it's a really good run defender, man. That guy collapses edges, man.
For sure. And then my bonus was Monroe Freeling and Ernest Green, just because of from what they were a year ago. Clearly, those guys are both battling injuries. They're another two reasons why this offensive line has been so good. Well, also, we haven't even shouted out Drew Bobo. Call him improved or whatever you want. He was just behind an NFL center, so now he's getting his turn to play, and he's just damn good for his own right. Let's see, because I want to end on a positive note. Let's go with most disappointing thing this season.
Most disappointing thing, because I feel like you can't really point to the defense underperforming or the pass rush underperforming, because I think those are things we kind of knew going into the year are going to be question marks, and there really isn't a lot that I can say I'm disappointed about with this team. The most disappointing thing for me is the fact that Colby Young got hurt, but I know that's not really the spirit of the question. So
that's my answer is the Colby Young injury, honestly.
Okay. So if I'm gonna nitpick Georgia's team, what I would say, if I have to give a take and criticize the team, which I don't really want to do because they've had such a good year. Not much that I can nitpick. But I would say maybe I'd say maybe the downfield passing game has not been quite as explosive as I would have liked it to see with a player like Branch, because obviously
Yeah.
Branch has been the best playmaker on Georgia's offense, and he's completely changed everything. But when he came over from USC, I thought that he was going to be more of a deep threat than he's been. I thought they were going to try to get in behind defenses more, and they haven't really done that with him much. He's really been used in the quick game as a yard after the catch guy, and obviously he's excelled at that. I can't stress that enough. But I was thinking between him and Noah Thomas and the healthy Colby Young coming back, I thought Georgia was going to air it out down the field a little more than they have. And, Stockton's got a good deep ball. Stockton's hit plenty of big time throws down the field this year. The Dylan Bell play against Ole Miss being a great example of that. But it hasn't been there nearly as much as I wanted it to. And we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's anything that's going to sink the offense. I mean, Georgia's had a really good offense, and the running game has been really good, and Stockton's really good, and all that, yada, yada, yada. But if I have to be one thing I was hoping to see that I haven't really seen, it would be that. So I guess I am just saying Colby Young getting hurt, because him changed a lot of that.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's one of my top ones too, is disappointing. And then kind of nitpicking the way you're saying, because I haven't been disappointed by a lot of things this season. It's maybe you could say the lack of impact from transfers, but Zachariah Branch has been the best player on your offense. But maybe there's a reason Mendoza wasn't able to really crack the starting lineup, or there's a reason Josh McCray isn't able to crack, because Chauncey Bowens is just better, and we didn't really know that was going to happen. You brought in 3 safeties, and none of them were able to really play. Zion Branch has probably played the most from that group. But yeah, I mean, that's being nitpicky. Josh Horton, like we said, has been solid. But yeah, trying to find disappointing in a 12 and 1, other than losing to Alabama that 1 week.
I thought of another one. It's been that, and I hate to single out one guy, so I'll say the whole unit. But you mentioned the safeties. The safety play has not really been great this year. I know Corey Thomas just had the game of his life against Alabama, and that was a 6 sack and everything. But he's been questionable in coverage. They got 3 transfers this offseason to try to overhaul the safety room, and really none of them have made an impact. I mean, Zion Branch has played, but he hasn't really been an impact player, and they clearly don't really trust him to carry deep routes and flip his hips and be a real fluid coverage guy. And we haven't really seen the leap from KJ Bolden that I kind of thought we were going to get. I kind of thought that he was going to be the real trusted guy on that back end, and he hasn't really done that for me this year. I don't think he's been a top 5 player on the team or something like that. Like I was thinking, he's been fine. And there's still a lot of room for him to carry over. I'm not going to say he's been a major bust or a major disappointment. KJ Bolden's Georgia career overall, I'm pretty pleased with, and I think he's going to be an NFL player for a while. But he hasn't taken the Thorpe Award level jump that I thought maybe he could, because he was really good last year as a freshman.
I think he hasn't been Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
And so he feels disappointing, kind of, but which really is not fair at all. But yeah, I think I kind of agree with you there. He hasn't been but one of Georgia's, because we talked about a lot in the preseason, this is the fewest kind of all-American first-round pick candidates we can ever remember a Georgia team having coming into a season, and he was one of those better candidates to be an all-American, and he hadn't really had that season. But still solid, and this secondary is getting better and better. But last thing we'll end on is most surprising thing from this season, sir. I would say, other than, we'll just take off the plate, other than Gunnar Stockton maybe being as good as he's been, what is the most surprising thing to you this year?
I think it's the fact that this young defense settled in as much as it did over the second part of the year, because we knew going in that it was a young unit and there were going to be a lot of growing pains, and the coaching staff really stressed that throughout the year. But to the extent that those coaches really insisted that this defense would play better, I mean, there were, after the Tennessee game and the beginning of the Ole Miss game, there were times where I was really kind of out on the Georgia defense. I was like, yes, these are young players and they're going to get better, but they're not going to get so much better over the course of this year to where I feel like they can round into a very good defense, and Georgia is a national championship level team. But that is exactly what happened, essentially. I mean, the young guys on the pass rush, you have Zayden Walker appearing out of nowhere and being a good player. You have Gabe Harris taking the strides that he took. You have Ellis Robinson becoming the best cornerback in the country. DeMello Jones coming out of nowhere. And then, CJ Allen continues to be as good as he's been. Raylan Wilson, career year. Chris Cole looks like just a complete weapon. I mean, that guy doesn't even look like he's close to being as the best player he can be, and he's already a really good player. So the fact that those guys stayed in the fight for as long as they did and kept at it, and like over the course of the season, like all those guys individually, I felt fine about long term. I was like, all these guys are like crazy athletes, crazy talents. They're going to be really good players one day, if it's not this season. But it did end up being this season. And I don't mean to completely plant the flag and say Georgia has an elite defense now. That would be a dumb thing for me to say right ahead of the college football playoff, with in all likelihood a really good Ole Miss team awaiting them. But I do think that this team is this defense is playing really well right now, and they've been giving us their best ball of the year, and they deserve a lot of credit for that, because I didn't think that kind of turnaround was going to happen so soon.
Yeah, that's I think they might be a top 5 defense in the college football playoff.
They probably are. No, they are.
I mean, statistically, they probably aren't. I think there's probably a lot that are ahead of them, but right now, there's not many I would take ahead of them. I don't know that Ohio State's defense is better than Georgia's. I know their stats are significantly better, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. They've been playing a bunch of Big Ten teams. So has Indiana. I don't know. I don't try Oklahoma. I'll give you that Oklahoma's defense is better than Georgia's, but I don't know. Right now, I think this unit is elite. And that is definitely surprising. This is one thing I did predict, but still, it's still surprising, is Georgia's run game and offensive line. Like we kind of alluded to this earlier. You lose 3 starters on the O-line and Trevor Etienne, and this unit improved. It's I feel like it was going to improve, but it's still surprising how much better they've been this year than they were a year ago. And this last one is, maybe an unscientific take here, and we don't have a straw poll, we don't have a survey or anything, but I would say the popular opinion among Georgia fans is that Mike Bobo is a good offensive coordinator, and I don't think that was the popular opinion 3 months ago. Do you think that's still not the popular opinion? People still hate Bobo?
Better be. People do still hate Bobo. I'm deep in the woods of I'm making this big YouTube video about Mike Bobo. So I'm well aware of how much he's been getting Georgia hate, but I've always go ahead. Mike Bobo was always a good offensive coordinator. This whole idea Mike Bobo is some idiot guy who he only calls screen passes. I never bought in with any of that, man. I definitely have had I'm not saying he's batting 1,000 as a play caller, but no play caller is. But the miracle work he did last year to squeeze an SEC championship out of that offense, those receivers, and that offensive line, yeah. I'm with you. Respect. I'm sick of the Bobo hate, man.
I'm with you. I think his approval rating is finally above 50% among the fan base. That's what I'm saying is so shocking with how many people hated him. I'm with you. I've always been defending Bobo. Maybe I'll say it this way: the Bobo haters have actually been silenced this year, and I don't think any of us actually saw that coming. They probably do still hate. They still got hate in their heart out there, but they've had to bite their tongue a lot this year, and that's a good thing for all of us.
Yeah, I'm so God, I mean, it's the easiest thing to do in all of football is when your offense doesn't play well and you just want somebody to blame, but you don't want to pick on any of your favorite players. The coordinator, the OC did it.
There you go.
It's such a lazy way to talk about sports. Obviously, there are bad play callers and there are bad play calls, but 80% of play caller discourse from just regular fans like you and I, save it, man. I don't want to hear it. None of us know what we're talking about with that stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you there. They've forgotten more. Mike Bo's forgotten more about football than any of us out here now.
And I know that's such an appeal to authority. I don't mean to do that because there's a lot of football guys out there who make dumb decisions. but Mike Bobo ain't one of them.
No, for sure. Like you say, he's not batting 1,000, but Georgia's got a good OC, and he doesn't have the job only because he's Kirby Smart's friend. Like, come on, let's Kirby's the best in the game. Let's give the guy some credit. But last thing here, sir, I know you got to get out of here. Rapid fire college football playoff predictions on Saturday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm taking all the home teams. I think they were all undefeated in the first round last year, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State,
I think so.
Texas. Those are the four. Yeah. I think they all go undefeated this year. I think Oklahoma beats Alabama for a second time. Miami over A&M. I think that's the biggest one to watch. But I'm going to take A&M. I'm going to take the home team. And then, Ole Miss, Oregon. Like, they're going to blow out the teams they're playing. I don't know if they'll cover. I'm not telling you they're going to cover, but I think the four home teams are going to get it done this weekend.
I think the most likely team to pull off the upset is definitely Beck and Miami. Admittedly, like I can't talk too much about that game at nauseum just because I haven't really done a lot of like looking into it. Me personally, in terms of how they match up against each other, but yeah, going into Kyle Field and winning a playoff game is going to be a tough task for anybody. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Oregon and Ole Miss are going to roll, unfortunately. Although I really want one of those Group of 5 teams to make it a game, because if we have to deal with a whole offseason of people complaining about Group of 5 teams and that they're this evil villain in the playoff that's stealing playoff spots from Texas, who rightfully deserves it. Like you can
took her jabs.
Spare all that for me, man. But yeah, I guess and also Alabama. I mean, I know that it's easy for us to beat down Alabama because Georgia just manhandled them, but they say it's tough to beat the same team twice. It's even harder to beat the same team, 3 times in 2 years, twice in one season. So that's not going to be an easy matchup. But yeah, I think Venable's defense against that offense and that quarterback is just too good of a matchup for them, especially when they're at home under the lights. I mean, Norman's going to be crazy. So yeah, Miami A&M, I think is definitely, I'm with you. Like, that'll be the most fun game to watch for me, which is so awesome that it's at noon. I just love that.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And I think Oklahoma beat them in Tuscaloosa earlier this year, right? So getting them, in Norman. That's definitely, we're probably disrespecting Alabama too much because that's the lowest point spread. But shame on the playoff for not setting up a potential Georgia-Miami matchup in the second round. Like, so many storylines, but
just make Tulane go to A&M.
Yeah, I'm with you, but yeah, that's all I got for today's show. Is there anything else you wanna tell the good people about?
We do have a chat in here actually. From
put them up there.
Yeah, do you guys think we meet expectations this year if we lose to OSU in the semifinal, or is it natty or bust? I think before the season, if you had told me Georgia makes the semifinal, I would have been pretty excited. So I guess I can't say that like it would be a failure to lose to Ohio State in the semifinal with this young of a team and a first-year starter at quarterback. But at this point, when I've seen what Georgia is capable of this year, this team, I absolutely think they deserve to have a natty or bust mentality, because I think they can beat anybody right now. They're the hottest team in the country for my money. So I'm super hyped to see them. This year has already, like, the fact that this is an SEC title team again, back-to-back, beat Bama, avenged their only loss. This year has already kind of surpassed my expectations for it. So now that my expectations have been surpassed, like, I want the whole thing,
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that whole natty or bust conversation, I never kind of know how to interpret it. Like, I guess Georgia's the kind of program now. Yeah, if they don't win a national championship, it's that was the expectation, is kind of disappointing. But I think the one positive of the 12-team format is like more tangible, like, accomplishments for more teams. Like, you can, we get into the playoff, won a couple games, got to the semifinal. Like, there's more. It's not just national championship or you're terrible, you don't win anything. For one, Georgia's already won the SEC, and yeah, I mean, I think if they lose in the round of 8, it'll definitely feel like a huge failure. Yeah, honestly, even though they won the SEC, that'll feel bad,
because it would be back-to-back years too, and then Like Georgia can't get over the hump in the new era. You don't want to do all
Yeah,
that. Just
I
win.
think I'm with you there. So I think, yeah, you lose to Ohio State. It's still disappointing, but the season is definitely not a failure if you're one of the 4 teams in college football. I'm sure Kirby Smart will say, you know, I guess I don't know what Kirby Smart will say. He probably won't say the season's a failure. They won a lot of games. It's a good team, but yeah, I guess I don't know what Sanjay. I don't know what your opinion is, but I don't know. I think this kind of we can recalibrate expectations as the season goes along, but I think there's a lot of people that didn't know how good this team was going to be this year, myself included. I thought this could easily be a 3-loss team coming into the regular season. They're so unproven. So the fact that this team went 11-1, won the SEC, they're back in the playoff as a 3 seed, should be a 2 seed, but whatever. Yeah, I don't think I can call it a failure. I mean, even if you lose in the Sugar Bowl, it'll feel terrible, but I don't know if I can call it a failure.
Yeah, I'm with that, man.
Although last year had the built-in excuse with like not playing without the starting quarterback. I don't know. If we actually lost to Ole Miss, heaven forbid Tulane, yeah, I don't know. I might feel different. Talk to me that night and we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Playoffs should be fun, man. I'm looking forward to some neutral viewing in this first round.
For sure. And then we're going to come back to the folks next Monday. We're going to talk Ole Miss, Georgia. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm assuming Ole Miss is beating Tulane, but yeah, we're going to talk about the matchup that Georgia has in the Sugar Bowl. I guess if it's Tulane, we're going to New Orleans and Georgia's a road team at that point. Maybe Tulane will have more fans there, but no, I think, just check us out Mondays, 7:00 again next week. And yeah, we'll come to you with a post game and all that good stuff. But I appreciate everyone who's tuning in, everyone who's watching live. For that guy over there, Bo Underwood, I am Matt Green. Until next time, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click Join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.